Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my mid-September wrap-up. I have been a busy little reader girl this first half of the month. I have 8 books to go over today. That's a lot. I will say some knocked it out of the park for me. Loved them. Some of them, okay, they're just, I'll be honest, I did not like a couple of these. That's usually always how it goes, but like a couple of these are real stinkers. So let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the books I read. So first category is classics, and I read 2 of them. And let's just get into it. Like quick little mini reviews because my Drunk Classics videos are coming out very shortly. So first things first, I got Memnoch the Devil by Anne Rice. This is book 5 of the Vampire Chronicles. And this one is just such an acid trip to be on. Frankly, I have not watched the footage back of me filming this, but like a lot happens here that I'm like, I don't even know what to say. It's very much kind of about like theology, morality, like basically there's a guy, he says, my name's Memnoch, guess what? I'm the devil, Lestat, you should be my assistant. And then he takes him on a greatest hits of religion tour, and then Lestat kind of goes crazy. There you go. Quick summary. But I didn't hate it. I think it had some good writing in it. It's just like it was barely any vampire shit going on here, and it got like gross and weird at points, which that's not like surprising with Anne Rice now, is it? But it's fine. I liked it. There will be a Drunk Classics coming shortly on it. I also read As You Like It for High Shakespeare. That video is coming very soon. In fact, it will be my next video coming out. But you know what? I'm just gonna say it right now. It doesn't make any sense, and I really didn't like As You Like It. I felt like it was like aggressively bad. Like I felt like it was mean-spirited. Like Shakespeare wrote it to be spiteful. It's like, oh, you like something funny? Here's this, you idiot. And he put out this piece of garbage play. And like, it felt like kind of like a fuck you to his audience. It's really bad and it makes no sense. And like being high whilst reading it didn't help, I'll admit. But I don't, now that I'm sober and thinking about it, I didn't like it now either. It's not very good. I'm just going to say what I said what I said. You know what I mean? Everyone really likes Rosalind, but she's so dumb. I can't with her. All right, so we're already knocking it out of the park here with like great reviews. But let's keep this going. Next category is romance, and I read 4 of them. First things first, I got Ruby Fever by Ilona Andrews. Loved it. This is like the big finale to this second arc in the Hidden Legacy series. And I read this all in one sitting. Like I could not put it down. Had so much fun with it. Again, it's super hard to like describe exactly what's going on here because this is book 6 of a series. Like I feel like each book kind of has like a monster of the week or bad guy of the week, but it's also an ongoing storyline, and we're following Catalina Baylor. This is modern day, but like a alternate history version of. Basically, they invented this serum that unlocks like hidden genetic abilities for magic. And then now, since it's genetic, you can pass it on to your children, blah, blah, blah. People have, made more people until the present day. And now you have like these magical dynasties. And they all kind of fight with each other and stuff. And there's a lot of politics involved there. But also, giant magic battles with like interdimensional Lovecraftian demons getting pulled out of like arcane realms to like fight people. Like there's like, it's craziness happening here. But basically they need to like stop the bad guys and save the day. And I love Catalina Baylor. She's one of my all-time favorite heroines, and she gets some really, really cool, interesting parts in this book. Her magic kind of evolves a bit, and I had a great time with it. It's action-packed. It's steamy. It gave me everything it needed to give me. It left a big wide open door for more books of this series. There's 3 Baylor sisters, and they've done a trilogy on 2 of them so far. There needs to be a 3rd trilogy for Arabella, the other sister. I will not stand for it if there isn't, because they really opened up that door for Arabella's story arc. So I want to see where that's going, but loved it. I think Catalina You know, it kind of wrapped up all of the threads she had been weaving for the other two books, so I felt like they stuck the landing. It was a good, nice finale. Now, all the rest of the romances I read were historicals, and let's just start here. I read Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean. I was so pumped for this. This is like such an anticipated read for me. I loved the previous book of this series, Bombshell. It's amazing, and I couldn't wait to have this one. Basically, it's the Hell's Bells. There's this group of women, and they all kind of like band together to stick it to the man, take down bad guys through questionable means. It's sometimes a lot of explosions. So it's very zany, and there's a lot of heists and races against time, beating the bad guys. All that jazz I love. Plus, it's funny, it's steamy, and I'm just like, I love these characters. I'm so into them. This time we're following Adelaide. She's a thief extraordinaire, and also she is known as the match breaker. Basically, people can come to her, women who want to get out of a disadvantaged marriage, and say like, dig me some dirt up on this guy, and she's like, done. And so she goes around like kind of saving women from having to enter into bad marriages. And then you have Henry. He's a duke, and his little brother's kind of a rascal, trying to elope with this girl, and that's kind of how he and Adelaide are on this same path, going to get this brother. And there's other things along the way as well, but you know, it's also a matter of like secrets and subterfuge, dangerous pasts coming back to get you, and they're on like this like high-speed road chase or looking for the brother and the girl he's trying to elope with. So it's like a whole like action-packed steamy story, and like I just loved it. I loved every bit of this. It was so fun. I had such a good time with it. 5 stars, knocked it out of the park. I'm obsessed with this series, and I can't wait for more of them. I feel like the next book is going to be the explosives expert and like the head of Scotland Yard, and I was like, oh, I need it. So I'm very excited for this series. I also read The Duke Heist by Ridley, and I really, really like this one too. I've been really loving this Wild Winchester series by her. It's basically a group of like 7 siblings. They were all kind of adopted. They're like, you know, a misfit group as a family. And in this one, this is like the beginning of the series. This is book 1. I read them backwards, I know. But this one's about Chloe. She's kind of like the eldest Winchester sibling, and it's an art heist. Someone stole the siblings' painting, and they've been trying to get it back through like, you know, legal means, but it hasn't been working. So they, you know, develop this elaborate heist that needs to happen. Oopsie daisy. She accidentally heists a duke. His name is Lawrence. He's kind of a soft boy duke who's really into painting, and like he's really sweet, and but you know, socially awkward, so people think he's just standoffish. But whoopsie daisy, she accidentally kidnaps him. So hopes we're gonna have to figure some shit out here. But it's like a really sweet kind of romance between them. There's ups and downs, of course, but I do love all of the siblings. They're all so different, but they all have something they bring to the table. Again, this is like another misfit crew of people sticking it to the man. If you're having problems, you can come to the Winchesters. They usually help you out with something. So I do love a good crime fighter. And all the siblings are so individual and different, and it's a really fun series. They're all like fairly short too, so you can just like knock through them. But yeah, there's 3 books out of this series out already. I think there's gonna be 4 more for all the siblings. Loving this, so good. Gave it 5 stars. Chef's kiss. I also read The Ugly Duchess by Eloisa James, and you know what? I kind of have been going on like an Eloisa James renaissance right now, because before I wasn't into Eloisa James. I read a few things by this author, wasn't really into them. I was just like, ugh. I know Eloisa James is like a big name in historical romance, but I never read anything I liked really. They're all kind of bland. And then I read this book recently, When Beauty Tempts the Beast, and it was sent to me by my friend Mara, Books Like Whoa, and she nailed it. Like, I really enjoyed that a lot. Like, I thought it was so fun. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was at a library book sale, happened to find this one. It's part of the same series. It's like twisted fairy tales, basically. And The Ugly Duchess, you know, the ugly duckling kind of thing. And I was like, let's try it. And you know what? I very much enjoyed it. It's not like my favorite book I've ever read, especially compared to those other two historicals I just read, which I was obsessed with. But it was still pretty good. So I'm like kind of having this like new love affair with Eloisa James. Who am I? You know, like I thought I gave up on Eloisa James and apparently not. We're following Theo. She is the Ugly Duchess, you know, the kind of maybe not the prettiest girl in town, but she's really spunky and fun and smart. And then you have James. He's an earl going to be a duke someday. And they kind of grew up as like childhood friends, kind of raised together. And through kind of unseemly means, they end up getting married to each other, mainly because the father kind of squandered her inheritance. And then James has to marry her for money. But, like, they do have a genuine affection for each other, and it could have worked out, except she finds out that was the reason, and it kind of really tanks her self-esteem, and she ends up kicking him out. You know, cut 2 years later, like 7 years later, he hasn't been around, she kicked him out, and she's trying to have him legally declared dead. Oh, he's not dead. He was off being an effing pirate. He left and became a pirate. Like, I bet you weren't expecting that. This says pirates. Well, privateers. And he comes back, guess what? I'm not dead. I want to work on her marriage. So it's kind of like a second chance romance. Interesting characters. I didn't love it as much as those other two I read, but like it was fun. I had a good time with this. It makes me want to read more Eloisa James. So it's like a solid 4 stars. Like I really kind of liked it a lot. Last category is fantasy, and I read 2 of them. I read Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. This is a YA fantasy story, and you know what? It was actually kind of good. I liked it. I did tab it a few times. Like I only tab something if I find a line that I think is particularly good. So I'm like, this has like 5 tabs. That's pretty good. There's 5 lines in here that I thought was particularly good writing. It's kind of an interesting like fantasy world. Basically, there's like seers, and there's only a limited number of them, and every like kingdom kind of has their own like seer on staff who could like see the future. And Violet is the seer for this kingdom, and she's kind of learned from a young age. People don't always want to hear the truth. They want to hear what they want to hear. So her visions are open to a bit of interpretation. She's learned to be creative in how she tells people what she sees. So I mean, the easy way of saying that is that she's a liar. But I like to give her some more nuance than that. And she has kind of a little bit of a star-crossed enemies to lovers kind of situation with Cyrus, who's the prince. And there's this whole elaborate plot to like curse the kingdom, and like there's like fairies and sprites. There's a lot going on here, and frankly, it's been 2 weeks since I've read it, so forgive me. But there's been a bit of things I've read since. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think it has really good writing. It is YA fantasy. However, these characters feel like their age. And I know that's like a thing in YA fantasy where a lot of characters are written too immature, to the fact, like, okay, if this character is like 18 years old, but they're acting like they're 14 years old, there's a big difference here. And that's why a lot of people think the characters are too immature. And it's like, you know, they're kids, they're supposed to be immature, but at an appropriate age level. And these characters are like 18, 19 years old, and they feel like they're 18 and 19 years old. Are they making bad decisions? Yep, they're kids. But like the way they speak to each other, their understanding of the world, their morals, and like just how they relate to things, it seems appropriate age-wise. It feels like they have the right level of maturity, rather than like having them be too immature for their age. A lot of 18-year-olds get written like they're 14-year-olds, and you're like, what is happening? So these kids feel like they're 18, 19 years old, which is like great. It's a rare thing. It's like one of those subtle things you pick up on when you're reading YA books, but like if you're looking for characters who feel age appropriate, this is your book. Also, kind of a cool fantasy world, particularly good writing at points. Like, I'm kind of impressed, and this is a debut by Gina Chen, so I recommend checking it out at least. Last and, well, honestly least, I have read Small Angels by Lauren Owen. And by read, I mean I tried and DNF'd. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I read 40 pages of this. I read this for 30 minutes. And I hated each and every minute I read this. Like, just viscerally hated this immediately. And sometimes that happens. I usually like to give a book about 100 pages before like I really give up on it. But there are rare exceptions to that rule where if I start reading something and immediately I just hate it, I can give up. And the problem with this one was this actually was supposed to be my patron book club book of the month. But luckily, my patrons are such beautiful humans that they understood when I said, you guys, this is terrible. I can't do this. And they said, it's okay. You don't have to read it. We're going to do something else. So luckily for my patron book club, we will be discussing other things than this book because, oh boy, did I just viscerally hate this. Like, I like what it's kind of trying to do. It's like a gothic horror. It's in England. There's creepy woods. There's like a creepy family who keeps the evil in the woods through like weird rituals and stuff. So like all of that sounds cool. Like I like the concepts here and I like the atmosphere it's building. Like it has that going for it. I really, really do not vibe with the writing style. Like I hated reading this. However, this is like a purely me problem. I don't think it's necessarily the book's fault that I don't like it. I think it's just my own personal taste. So if you really like gothic horror, you like creepy woods, atmospheric vibes, all that jazz, you might want to try it out. Just personally for me, like I was not getting on with this book. I read 40 pages and gave up. So it is what it is. All right, so that was like a whole boatload of books. Like so many books. And there's a couple more I read too, but that's for a secret project coming later. So you'll hear about that soon enough. But yeah, I read a lot this first half of the month. Like I'm impressed with myself. Let me know in the comments down below. What's a book that you started reading and this immediately hated? Like what's your visceral reaction of hatred to a book? What book was it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. Also, if you want cool exclusive content, including a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Bye!